Have you ever met someone and known your life just changed? Not because of fireworks, not because everything suddenly felt perfect, but because something inside you quietly said, "Oh, it's you." There's an old belief that the people we're meant to love are already tied to us by an invisible red string. You can't see it, you can't control it, but it pulls you together again and again until one day you finally meet. I used to think that was a nice story and nothing more. And then I met the woman who would become my wife. In East Asian folklore, they call it the red string of fate. The idea is simple. Somewhere out there, there is a person whose life is already woven with yours. You may grow up on opposite sides of the world. You may miss each other by minutes, by choices, by years. But no matter how many detours you take, that invisible thread is always there, quietly pulling you closer. For much of my life, I didn't believe in destiny. I believed in hard work, in showing up, in doing the best you can. But I didn't believe the universe cared who I ended up with. That changed the day I recognized my soulmate. When we hear the word soulmate, we often think of perfection, someone who completes us, someone who never hurts us, never leaves, never dies. I don't think that's what a soulmate is. I think a soulmate is someone your soul remembers, even if your mind has never met them before. And if you've ever had that strange feeling of, "I've known you forever, but we just met," you might have felt that red string pulling too. We like to say we met on this day at this place, but the meeting itself is just a line on a calendar. What matters is the recognition. For some people, it's instant. Their voice sounds familiar. Their eyes feel like home. You're not performing. You're not auditioning. They're just exhaling as if you finally arrived. For others, it sneaks up slowly. You look back months or years later and realize, "Oh, you were the one the whole time. I just didn't see it yet." Either way, something in you says, "This is not a stranger. This is someone I'm remembering." That's the first sign of the red string. Is that destiny or just chemistry and timing? I'm not here to prove anything scientifically. I'm not here to argue with your beliefs. What I can tell you is this: when I look back on my life, there's a clear difference between the relationships that were convenient and the relationship that felt inevitable. Inconvenient relationships, I was trying to make it work, trying to be the right person, say the right thing, fit the right mold. With my soulmate, it felt like the world had finally stopped pushing, like I had stepped into a story that was already in progress, and I was just catching up to it. That's what destiny feels like to me. Not magic, not fireworks, just a quiet, overwhelming sense of course, it was always going to be you. When I met Adel, there was no lightning bolt, no choir of angels. It was a simple conversation that didn't feel simple at all. There was this ease, like we'd been continuing a dialogue that started long before we were born. The way she saw the world, the way she listened, the way she laughed at things I thought only I noticed. It wasn't about agreeing on everything. It was about recognizing the same melody underneath our very different lives. I won't walk you through each moment of how we met here. That's a story I've told in detail elsewhere. What matters for this conversation is this. From early on, there was a sense that I hadn't stumbled into her life by accident. It felt like I had finally caught up to where that red string had been quietly waiting. Here's the strange thing about destiny. Most of the time you don't see it while it's happening. You see it in reverse. You look back and realize, if I hadn't made that one decision, if I hadn't sent that one message, if I hadn't taken that one chance, I would have never met them. At the time, it just feels like life. Later, it feels like a pattern. I call this retroactive destiny. You don't know you're in a sacred moment until you look back and realize it changed everything. My wife Adel died after 14 years together, and I'm still here, learning how to live in a world that doesn't have her body in it. If destiny were just about happy endings, her death would have shattered my belief in it. But when I sit quietly, when I remember our life together, there is still that same sense of an inevitability, not just about how we met, but about the way loving her changed me. The red string doesn't promise that we'll never lose each other. It doesn't promise that the people we love will stay forever. What it promises is that the connection is real, that it mattered, that part of you was meant to grow in that exact way it did, because you knew them. And in my case, even in grief, I don't feel like the string has been cut. It feels like it's tied to something I can't see yet. I've shared my philosophy with you about soulmates, destiny, the red string that seems to weave through our lives. In this video, I focused on what the connection felt like, the recognition, the way in hindsight it all seems to form a pattern. But if you're curious about the actual story, the emails, the near misses, the timing that never should have worked, but somehow did, I've documented all of it. It's a 20-part series called My Soulmate Named Adel, where I walk through our story from the very beginning, moment by moment, as honestly as I know how. If this idea of the red string, of soulmates, stirs something in you, and you want to see how all of this looked in real life, click here. This is where the story actually begins. Episode 1 of My Soulmate Named Adel. Thank you for being here with me today. I'll meet you over there in episode 1.